it's Mondo Street, Social Club, 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 it's Mondo Street, Social Club.
Thank you very much. Hello and welcome to Mondo Street Social Club. In this episode, I'm joined by Victoria Simmonds, singer, songwriter, actor, and voiceover artist. This is to coincide with the release of Victoria's new single, October Girl, which comes out tomorrow. I hope you enjoy. So without further ado, here we go. Good morning, Victoria. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm very well, thank you.
Thanks for joining us. I know I said this before we started recording. It's been a nice pleasure for me, not only to meet you, but also to be exposed to your music. And before we dive into how you started to write, just for our constant listener, just to go and grab some of your music. I think the track that came up first was Still a Long Way to Go, which has lovely vocal overtures of Natalie Merchant and Patti Smith, which for somebody of my age, which is a lot different demographic, that's a real good throwback. And I know we're going to pick up on your new single, which is coming out the 17th, October Girl, but that has got a really great Bond vibe to it. So I think anybody that likes music like that, good, clear female vocal, I think it's fantastic. So thank you very much for coming on the show. And thanks for giving me something more to add to my playlist. It's great.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Oh, you're more than welcome. So tell us a little bit then. So you're a singer-songwriter, and then we put a little bit underneath that, and the actor and voiceover artist. So you're another one of these people. I met a guy months ago called Christian Reeve who had a very similar title, and it was like, can you leave something for the rest of us to do, please? Because with all this talent, you're just pushing it out there, and we're going, "Oh, thanks, we'll just sit there." So do you want to tell me how you got started?
Music's always been in my life because my dad is actually he won't like me saying amateur musician, but he does get paid for it. So how much amateur you want to call him? It's um, so I did grow up knowing that music was a potential career, whether it was doing the same as he did or maybe taking it that little bit further. So I did a lot of music and drama when I was younger, and it was probably more music, but then I ventured into costumes and theatre. The theatre grew into my love of musical theatre. And from that, I did more straight acting and took the music away.
Yeah.
And once I'd done so much musical theatre, I thought, I've got all these songs that I've written down that I want to put out there to other people. Mainly it was just recording that for myself to start with, and then
Yeah.
putting it out for other people. But it suddenly dawned on me that I could do this. It was in COVID that I really thought, you know what, I've got all these songs, no one's listening to them, I'll pop them out there, just see what happens. And then also during one part of lockdown, I realized that I couldn't go out and do any more shows, couldn't go and record anything else. So I thought, I've got my small system at home, let's use it and do voiceovers. So I did.
And that kept you busy and kept you growing as an artist, which is it's a great use of time. I noticed on your bio that your tour dates or your shows cover Western France as well. And then looking up, and it says that you grew up in Western France, or partly in Western France. Is that a thing from family, or is that?
Yeah, we moved there for my dad's job when I was 13, 14.
All right.
And it's sort of given me a double culture, if you like. I've seen and grown up with an English culture. I've also got the French influence. So it almost makes me someone that comes from neither place, but I have almost the best of both worlds.
Yeah. And you find that creeps into your songwriting sometimes, that person from neither place,
Yes.
but from both.
Yes, a lot of my songs, um, even though they look at more relationship styles, but a lot of it is me being separated.
Yeah.
Lion and the Lamb, you have two very different um, people. October Girl, you have two conflicting sides.
Mhm.
They may be in different situations, but there always seems to be that element of two different sides of me.
Yeah, well, they do say to write what you know,
Mm.
and that's where you'll be most comfortable. So when you were younger, then you said you fell in love with musical theatre. What type? You know, were you uh, a lover of Broadway, um, amateurmatics, operatics?
Anything that was I started with 1950s musicals, so I started right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Um, my dad was a huge influence. I mean, we started with The Sound of Music. Who doesn't?
Yeah.
And my parents loved it because they gave me the video. They put it on. I think it's 2.5 hours, something like that. And as soon as I'd watched it, I rewound the tape and watched it again. And I do this more or less every week. So it became my first childminder. But then I grew on to wanting to watch Oklahoma and Seven
Mhm.
Brides for Seven Brothers, Calamity Jane. And I don't know why I suddenly realized that musicals were modern as well.
Mm.
So I then went through a stage of wanting to see the modern musicals, and now I've sort of combined them both.
Yeah, it's my daughter did the same, but with the Little Mermaid. So she'd watch it, rewind it, watch it, rewind it, watch it, rewind it. So yeah, I know that feeling. I was I'm a big lover of musicals as well, and I was really fortunate. I don't know if you know of a singer called Billy Porter. He's an
Mm.
American gentleman,
Yes.
and I was in New York and went to see the musical Kinky Boots,
Oh.
and Billy Porter was actually in the lead role at that time. So watching his ascendancy, watching his arc coming away
Mm,
from that has been something. But you can tell when somebody's really invested in that larger scale music, that live performance, you can tell that they're going to be something special. So
mm.
yeah, big fan of Billy Porter's. If you listen to Hello Billy, come onto the podcast. Why don't you? Let's see if he does. I don't think so. Um, so who would then? So if you've got that love of musicals and you've got a lot of musical influences within the family, who would you say are your main musical influences when you're writing, when you're trying to put that sense into the song? You know, the song's going to go this way. It's going to sound like that. I want it to be produced in a fashion. Who would you say are your main influences?
I don't think I have a main influence. I mean, everybody will always ask you, what's your main artist? And I've got so much history from the 1920s, 1940s, all the way up to modern music that I try and listen to the song
Hmm.
almost. If there are words in the song that I've written and it just comes to a melody in my head, whether that's a rock music or a 60s ballad or something like that, the the lyrics and the tune in my head say what it's going to be. So it could be any of them.
Yeah, and that's quite an extreme version of the creative process where you get the whole thing
Mm,
coming at you at once. You know, some people talk about seeing sounds in colors, and they might get a snippet of a lyric or a few
mm,
bars of a tune, but getting it all combining at once is it's quite advanced. That, and I
mm.
think that comes through in the songs. 'Cause that October Girl, I know I've referenced it already, and I'm no doubt going to buy 18 copies of it. I think it's that good. But the thing about that is it's a very it's a multi-layered song. You could strip the lyrics out, and the lyrics on their own, the actual story stands on its own, but the way it's being recorded and produced adds a layer behind it. It's almost ominous at times,
Mm.
and
Ah,
I I think I think there's a lot of well, I think you should be congratulated for that because it's something which isn't in the current zeitgeist. You
mm,
know, we love pop songs. Okay, sometimes pop songs become too pop, And I think what you've done there is you've written a pop song which has got maturity and it's got some bones to it.
Yeah, I had trouble when you have to categorize things. I never managed to categorize something into a certain box.
Yeah.
And this one I managed to put into more of a soul pop category. Other things I've done are more folk or indie pop, something like that. But this one definitely featured more into a soul uh, category.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I saw one of the as it is Let's Go Happy is actually categorized as country.
Yeah, a lot of people told me it was country. So it's country, it's pop. A lot of what I was listening to from well 2010 probably to 2016 was quite a lot of country. So you'll hear in the first album a lot of those influences are in my voice. Um, if you scroll down to Winners, that one is pure country
And there's
because
nothing wrong with
that's
that.
just how it came out.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that because a good country pop song is a toe tapper. It's driven by melody, isn't it? And that's something that's again has its definite place for it. So did the pandemic, did the lockdown, COVID, did that present any unique challenges to you? Not in a way that you couldn't go out and you couldn't meet other musicians in person to record, but did it impact on your ability to write, or did you find that you started to write in a different way?
Not in my ability to do anything. I found, yes, you could write a little bit, although I was more absorbing than writing,
Okay.
which sounds a little strange, but trying to work out your own situation. And then afterwards, I do a lot of letters or write down scribbles and then make a song out of it
Okay. Yeah.
because I usually leave it at least 6 months before I do anything with it because the emotion sometimes is a bit too raw.
Yeah.
But I took the time actually to understand the music world a bit more, to understand the marketing of it, to literally take it piece by piece and say, okay, this is how you use socials to the best of your um, ability. This is
Yeah.
how um, royalties work. This is how this section works. And I think that made me more of an entrepreneurial independent artist, which I think really helped in the long run, or I hope it helps in the long run.
Yeah. I think that's something which is very often overlooked, because it's not. I personally don't believe it's easy to write songs nowadays. I know there are certain tools and software that can assist us, but it's certainly easier to get your music out there now. Now, not necessarily successfully, but just about anybody can pay a digital distributor, £19 a year and get a song into Spotify and iTunes. But having that business acumen behind that
Mm,
to say, here's the socials, which are incredibly hard work. I know from trying to do socials for this podcast. It is a very very tricky thing to do, but understand the royalties and
mm,
all of those things as well. That does make you a far better equipped artist.
mm. If we don't, as independent artists, we don't have the record label behind us, who is the in the business side.
Mhm.
So an independent artist, we have to treat ourselves. We are a business at the end of the day because you're making money out of it, or at least attempting to make
Mm.
money out of it.
Yeah.
So if you don't know your business, you're not really going to get too far. Hopefully learning about my business will help me um, get that little bit further. Whether I get far, that's for audiences to decide.
Yeah. Because the streaming royalties are, if once you scratch off the surface, it's terrifying, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. I've got a friend who has been releasing independently across Spotify and Apple for 6 or 7 years, and, he did it to get his music out there, not necessarily to try and become something. and I think he worked out that he'd had a very healthy number of downloads and streams, and earned 1/3
Yes.
Yeah, and you think to yourself, wow, that is truly scary. Because
Mm.
we've all got a value to our time when we're writing, and we would like to see at least some compensation for our time. But through streaming alone, it's terrifying. You have to be Taylor Swift, don't you?
Yes. But
Yeah.
if you think that they're getting millions of view, well, that's probably only 1,000 anyway.
Yeah.
So most people, their money will either come from merchandise
Hmm.
or it will come from performing live,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I love doing. So hopefully when I do perform live, other people will enjoy listening.
So have you worked out then? So if you're performing live, do you perform on your own, or sometimes you have other musicians with you? Because y- every sound can be scaled back, but sometimes you can scale it back too far. If that makes
There,
sense.
yes, there are different situations. If you're in a smaller uh, style venue, then
Mhm.
yes, my backing tracks on my own, which is
Yeah.
probably what I'll be doing in France. Whether we get the band together is in the air at the moment.
Okay.
But hopefully we'll get some sort of band together. But that will be just me on my own. Other times you do an event where it's either been me and my dad. A lot of the time it's me and my dad,
Nice. Nice.
or there's me doing something, there's another band, there's a late night band.
Yeah.
So that's more an event. And if our November concert comes off, it will be myself and another artist joining forces and doing a concert together. So
Well, that's good.
fingers
That's
crossed
good.
for that one.
Yeah. Fingers crossed for that one, indeed.
So it makes it quite a variety of things that are possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
And
makes it
therefore
interesting.
you've got to kind of like change and manipulate the sound,
Mm,
and at sometimes as well the set list as well, because if you can't do that particular song justice, you'll slide another one in.
mm.
Yeah. Okay. With your dad being a musician, then we won't call him amateur because he gets paid. That's professional. Um,
He'll love
did
you
he?
saying that.
Yay! If you get paid, you're a professional. Did he ever warn you off the music industry?
No.
No.
No. Um, I think I was probably 16 when he allowed 15, 16 when he allowed me on stage,
Yeah.
and I would do one song with him and then more songs, and then it got to we're doing a half and half each. He'll
Mhm.
do a song, I'll do a song, we swap it round. Um, but at least we know if the other one, I think it was in last December, his voice sort of went
Oh no.
more or less halfway through the show, and I was there to carry on.
Yeah. Thanks, Dad.
But
I'll take over.
yeah, I don't mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Just let me stand in the spotlight for a second. I've got this.
He still stands there. He just couldn't sing anything,
Yeah. Ladies
which
and
I felt
gentlemen.
so sorry for him.
Yeah. My daughter. Thank you. Wonderful. Um, so then, if you took a step back from how you've been writing and what you've been writing then for the past 8, 10 years, is there a song that stands out that you wish you'd written?
Ooh.
Ooh.
Oh.
And I know
Um,
it's like saying, "What's your favorite song?" Which is an impossible question because that changes by mood, and but is the one that you think to yourself pretty consistently, yeah, I wish I'd written that one.
I do love songs, True Colors
All right, yeah,
and Landslide. They
cool,
are pretty much always in my set list. And more often than not, I will start a gig with Landslide. I don't know what it is about the song,
yeah,
but it just puts me at such ease to do the rest of the gig. So I have to go with that one.
Yeah, and it'll become part of your ritual now because you've done it and felt comfortable and successful. Then you've got to do it. So, True Colours is the Cyndi Lauper song.
It is the Cyndi Lauper song, but I sing the Eva Cassidy version.
Ah, right. Because I was just going to say that Cyndi Lauper, as a strange, fluky coincidence, wrote the music and songs for Kinky Boots
Mm, yes.
that Billy Porter was in. So we've there you go, 6 degrees of separation. We've gone all the way around to Cyndi Lauper again. So that you're obviously very comfortable singing. Does the acting push you a little bit further? Is it, or do you sit as comfortably in that realm as well?
The it's funny, a lot of people when they watch me, and even when you listen to the music, they say you performed it. You really sounded as though you were performing it sometimes as a musical, but you're acting out the song. Sometimes I don't actually see, but they do say that.
Yeah, yeah,
But when I'm definitely performing, I act it out quite a bit
yeah,
just to get even more emotion through.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know why. It just is a habit, I suppose.
Okay, okay. But then straight acting or voiceover work, is that a little bit more out of your comfort zone, or have you honed that as well?
To start with, the voiceovers, I wasn't sure if I could do it. I'm used to using the microphone. I'm used to the situation,
Mhm.
but I hadn't done straight acting for a while, and I doubted myself quite a lot. But once I got in there and actually I took one role, worked out a few voices, decided, I think after 5 days what the voice would be.
Yeah,
It took
yeah,
a while. In fact, it takes a while every time. I keep reading the script and trying to find out who this person is. Um, but I think that has it's definitely gotten better, and it's grown my confidence to go back into more straight acting
yeah.
because I know I can do it. I've regained my confidence that I had a long time ago. So it does help.
Because the actual voiceover or the voice acting market is there's quite a few people out there at the moment who are doing it, and some of them are extremely good. They take you away to a different place
Mm.
when you hear the voice, and some of them are not so good, which always happens when you find something that's saturated music, acting, all of those
Mm.
things. Um, so being able to continuously get jobs is another string to your bow, and it's another credit for you. That's fantastic. So do you want to tell us now then about this great new release, which is now my song of the week? If I was a radio station, I'd have a jingle for you. I haven't got a jingle for you, so I'll just say, tell us about this song, how it came about, where the inspiration came from. Tell us everything you can about it because it is a really really good song.
Well, it's started by my music partner. I like to put in the music part because otherwise people
Yeah.
ask me quite a lot of strange questions.
Yeah.
Um,
Ooh, really?
hmm. um, yes, friend and music partner, and he came to me with half of the song
Okay.
um, and a sort of idea of a tune, and I really loved what he'd come up with, and we worked on it. Um, I it's everybody says James Bond, and I will admit it, but at the time I was listening to a lot of Adele, and of course she was doing Bond at the time.
Yeah.
So that was in my head, and I was like, this fits perfectly for this song. And we basically built on that
Okay.
um, in the beginning, but as I say, we really wanted to revise it this time because our equipment's different, my voice is slightly different,
Mhm.
and we felt that this really could do it a bit more justice
Yeah.
than when it was first.
So where did you re-record it or revisit it?
Where? Oh, in the same studio. We actually we call it a home studio, but that's only because it's at home. It's got all the equipment that a small studio would have. It's just in a more convenient location.
Yeah, yeah. Because there's definitely a difference in the sound. I think as with podcasting with a lot of things nowadays, you can do a lot of things at home with quite small amount of kit. But the sound, the production of that is definitely one that says this wasn't done on an iMac with a £20 audio interface.
No.
There's a lot of physical um, production tools in there.
Hmm.
So there's not too many plugins, but there's definitely a physical live compressor in there, which is changing that tone as only that a physical device could do.
Mm,
Um, that must have been an absolute kick for you to actually sit there and grow it and layer it up and layer it up.
yeah, it is because I already revisiting the vocals that we use a completely different microphone that works better for my voice,
Okay.
um, because all the different microphones have something that they record slightly differently, whether it's the highs, the lows, all sorts of different things. And even using those microphones, they has to stand at the side and adjust all the way through the song, which we weren't able to do at the beginning. So it was okay, sing this part, now sing this part, and we'll put it together because we have to change it, um, whether it's a softer part or quite a belty section. But now we can do it seamlessly.
Yeah.
Um, he will love me to say that he used different guitars because
Oh, definitely.
he's bought so many different guitars. He was like, well, I can use this guitar and this guitar for to do separate sections, and oh, I did get a new Gretsch, so I'll use this one.
Oh, there's
And he
there's
gets so excited.
yeah, there's definitely a Gretsch on there. The
Yes.
whole Bond esque comes not only from like a string section, but it comes from the particular type of guitar that's used.
Mm,
And although the original Bond, there was played on a Fender Stratocaster, everybody now it mentally accepts it as being a Gretsch.
mm,
And I've got several around the corner there, and you can definitely hear that tone coming through, and
mm.
it's just glorious. When you're producing it, did you take it too far? Did you go, whoa, that's too big, let's scale it down a bit?
No.
No. Let's go bigger.
Yes. I For vocals, I love doing my harmonies. So I will record around 6 different versions of harmonies. Sometimes we use all of them. I think on this one we used 4 different vocals. So that's always quite fun to do. Uh, but we decided, oh, we could usually use a different style of drum to make a richer sound. And for some reason, I always go, let's use strings, put strings in. Every song, I end
Yeah,
up going, this needs strings. Definitely
yeah,
have to put strings in.
definitely. It's a great thickening soundstage
Mm,
tool, isn't it? Throw some strings, and even if you can hardly hear them in the mix, they're still there just to widen things up a little bit. That's really good. So so this comes out on the 17th. Okay.
yes.
From a release point of view, where does that lead you for the rest of the year and into 24?
We do have, um, I say I've been working with another producer on, I don't know how much I can say about it, um, on a slightly different genre of song, although
Okay.
not stepping away too far.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and that we were thinking of a release in November, but it's too close. So we've decided January would probably be a good time for that one. So you have to wait over Christmas and then and you'll get it in January. But yeah, January and a few more that are hopefully in the pipeline for the rest of that
Mhm.
year. But definitely going out and singing them on stage live for
Yeah.
people. That's going to be absolutely fantastic.
Okay. For people that aren't familiar with your work, can you give them a couple of tracks that you are definitely proud of and show you at your best?
As you say, still a long way to go. I think really does put us quite. That one is one of my new favorites.
Yeah, yeah.
I I do like singing "Touch the Stars." It's there are a few videos of it because I love performing it live. Maybe when people listen to it, it hasn't quite come out on the album as well as I hear it when I sing it
Okay.
live.
Yeah,
But that one is always one of my favorites.
yeah.
Um, there is an acoustic version, which I think is the second favorite on Spotify at the moment, which really is nice because we literally did it in one take. The guitar on one side of the room, me on the other side of the room, and it was so nice to do that one. Um, Let's Do Happy is quite fun. Um, I do like Lion and the Lamb. I suppose I like quite a lot of the slower ones,
Mm,
but yeah,
yeah, and obviously October Girl as well,
of course.
of course.
But the new style,
The new
the new
style.
style.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So, October Girl is out on the 17th. It's, available on all the streaming platforms.
It is.
It is. So, people can go along in 6 days. Sorry, I can't see a calendar anywhere, and my brain is mush at
Yes,
the moment.
6 days.
5, yeah, 5, 6 days. Next week.
Whenever you're listening to it, it was the 17th.
Well, yeah, because this episode is out next Monday. So, yeah. So yeah, I give it a wholehearted Mondo Street recommendation for a bloody great song to listen to. Um, on your website, victoriasimmons.co.uk, you've got all of your music listed there. You've also got some dates which are coming. Some may have gone already, some may be coming up. And there's a lot of other information about you. Is there anything else you would like to tell the listening world?
You can follow me on Facebook at Victoria Simmonds Music or on Instagram at official Victoria underscore music.
Fantastic. And all I'll say is thank you for coming on and thank you for adding to my playlist.
Thank you.
It's been a real pleasure. Thanks.